Welcome to the Witchy Work Wishes podcast, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes. I am your host, Charlene, and today's episode marks the final airing for 2022. And it's all about making and creating our 2023 goals. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and you're enjoying the magic of Yule, which still has 3 more days before finishing up our year. Before jumping into today's episode, I always like to look back on my week and pull 3 things I did to help with my witchcraft practice. First one was making my Yule log, which I did on December 21st. I'll post a picture on Instagram so you can see how it turned out, but I'm really happy about it. The process of making and decorating it was magical, and I really took the time to put my intentions into each of the pieces and the 3 candles. And then I lit the candles on the first day of Yule and winter solstice. I used a red candle, a green candle, and a gold candle, and I said my Yule wishes as I lit them. I'll continue to do this each night until December 31st, at which point I will put the Yule log into my fireplace and start a Yule fire with it. Of course, I will be saving a small piece of the Yule log from the fireplace so I can use it to start next year's fire. I will also be scooping out and saving the ash on January 1st and using it in my garden in the spring. Second was my card pull. Now, last week I got the Stag Spirit and the Crow Spirit. Of course, both were great cards to pull, but the Crow meant something extra special to me. I know some of my recordings here, you can hear my backyard crows talking to me. I have a couple of families, but there's one crow that I call Lovebug that seems very connected to me. And it's usually him talking when I'm trying to record a podcast. I really do think he's, cheering me on and reminding me that I am on the right path and that I am co-creating with spirit. So this week, my card pull was Beaver Spirit, which says to lay a solid foundation and that a power is living inside me. Beaver Spirit says that it takes work and determination and sustained effort to co-create and lay a solid foundation for your dreams. That if I bring the twigs and branches of my intentions and desires and spread them across the river of time, I'll be amazed at what I can do, and I'll find that I can even change the direction of the flow of life. So, second one I got was the Wasp Spirit, which says, sometimes life stings. The Wasp Spirit reminds me that even though, sometimes life stings, there is a purpose for the pain, just as there's a purpose for when wasps are in the natural world. The Wasp Spirit says that while being stung hurts, it will lead to something far better than I had envisioned for myself, and that I need to go through the pain to have the growth. So my 2 card pulls lead right into the third thing I did this weekend, and really it was the cards that gave me the direction for my reflection and meditation, or the best I can do with meditation. It certainly does not come naturally to me, but I am trying, and I really want to bring balance into my life. I think one good way to do this is going to be with meditation and understanding each part of me. Now, the past 2 years have been very different for me. And like most of us, true change occurs when something significant and major happens in our lives. So this coming February 5th will mark the 2-year anniversary from when I was attacked. And without all the details, it was a horrible experience to go through, but I survived. The person was arrested for attempted murder. And even though he was in jail and I knew I was physically safe, I went into fight mode. I dropped a bunch of weight so I could be healthier. And I took a self-defense class so I could be stronger and protect myself better. What I didn't do was slow down and deal with the emotions that came from the attack. And not that there's any good side of an attack, but it unfortunately came from someone I loved and still love with all of my heart. So I did try therapy, and I really liked the guy I was seeing. I went for about 5 months, maybe-ish, and I just couldn't do it anymore. There's a bunch of history of why I don't like therapy, but we can save that for another day. Anyhow, my fight mode crashed when I started therapy and things started spiraling for me. It was this time last year that I can honestly say I was at my lowest point ever, and I have been rebuilding ever since. Now, circling back to meditation, I know I need to keep practicing this foreign exercise. And just like that chameleon spirit card keeps appearing for me and it frustrates me to keep seeing it, I really do need to continue taking the steps to balance my life. And even if those steps do not seem organic now, I need to keep doing them like the chameleon says and act as if. Fake it till you make it. At some point, it won't be faking it anymore. And these things like meditation that I am adding to my life and practicing now will become organic and true to my daily habits in time. So it was probably a lot to drop on you guys. But it definitely played a big part of my weekend. All right, let's go into the moon status this week. The moon brought some amazing energy last week and added to the magical things that were happening. This week is slower as she is in her first quarter phase. This is all about her waxing phase, which is a good time to push through any obstacles you might be having. This is an excellent time for growth. Now be strong and keep working on the goals you made with the super new moon last week. Okay, let's jump into the main topic today, which is all about 2023 goals and some tips and tricks to help make you more successful in making them. And I know list making in general is not for everyone, but I'm guessing since you are listening to this podcast, it is for you, or you're trying to be better with it. So I personally love the process of it and the satisfaction of checking off the items as I complete them. List making in general, the whole kit and caboodle, is something I love. I have always been a New Year goal maker too. Now, back in my early 20s, I had my goals written down for the year and posted up on my fridge so I could see them daily. For me, it was a great reminder of what I wanted to obtain during the coming months and a timeline in which I wanted to obtain them in. Now, as the years went on, my home got busier with family and kids, and my goals were better suited in a notebook or somewhere that was, a little bit more private. I still wrote them out each January 1st. I just didn't, fridge post them like I used to when I was younger. So I'm now in my 50s, and I can say that list making in general and goal creating for the upcoming year are still just as important to me as they were when I was younger. I have found over the years some great steps that make my goal list making easier and allow me to brainstorm and kind of, free flow my ideas before I start organizing them into my actual final written goals. And I would love to share these tips and tricks with you today, along with some other notes I have taken to help make all of us better and more successful with it. So I have today's episode broken down into 3 areas. First one is going to be the benefits of making lists and goals. Second is going to be how to structure your 2023 goals, and certainly what's worked for me over the years. And third, as always, is bridging my witchy wishes into work and making goals for your career and job. So let's start with the benefits and the why portion of goals and list making. Well, the why is pretty simple. Goals give you a direction, a roadmap, if you will, and a clear reminder on what you want completed by a certain time. And we all know there's a big gap between making goals and actually achieving them. But you would be surprised how much energy and success you already create just by making them. You are one step ahead with focusing on defining your purpose and what is going to make you achieve your goals. And seeing your goals written down can put actions into motion that may not have started without them. So new habits and routines are created, which all give you energy to your end result and purpose. So in thinking about your 2023 goals, there is no set right or wrong way to do them. There are, of course, tips and tricks to help, but this is a personal process, and only you know how the end result should look. Your goals should always be aligned with your values. Starting with this will help ensure your success in obtaining them. There are going to be hard times, right? We know there will be, and you're going to need to push through them. But if your goals are in alignment, it will be easier. Think about what you're willing to do too. Sometimes, goals sound good, but we are not willing to work on them or sacrifice to have them. And maybe they sound good because you think other people value them, but you yourself don't. Those goals will end up collecting dust because they really do not align with your vision or your greatest good. You do want to be realistic in making your goals. Now, that does not mean they can't be huge. You want them to be motivating and exciting. But your goals should be ones, that give you direction and create manageable to-do actions so you can achieve them. You are going to be creating like a timetable and framework for the coming year. So, go big, but be realistic. All right, goals will help you prioritize your actions. Again, they will create little to-do items that need to be checked off to continue moving forward so that you can complete the big ultimate goal. Now, a stumbling block, not only with goals, but really with any big project or anything that can seem overwhelming, is going to be the lack of ability to break it down into smaller, manageable steps. It really is this very thing that will keep people stuck in situations. They focus on the big picture and it overwhelms them. It freezes them into place because they're unable to compartmentalize and take one baby step at a time to break it down. So I'm sure you've heard the saying, a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. And then a plan backed by action becomes reality. This is exactly how to approach your goal making. You're going to take a dream and write it down. Then plan what steps need to be taken to move forward, and then act on those steps and achieve your goal. So baby steps written into your timelines when working on goals are super important. They will give you a sense of completion, which is huge in motivating you to continue on with your path. Do what you need to do to remove those stumbling blocks of, being overwhelmed by a big end result by creating little baby steps that, when completed, will propel you forward with a sense of accomplishment. So goals will also separate out our, wishful thinking, our, wouldn't it be nice if, and our, someday I might type dreams, and help us focus on what we really do actually want, and then turn that something that we really want and make it into a reality of something we are now, in real time, working for. That level of responsibility gives you power. This is your goal, your action to work on, your choice to do something that brings you closer to completion. Of course, that power and choice can turn into action steps that delay your achievements. Goals are something so personal for you, and really you are the one with the ultimate control over them. But when you get that momentum going and feel those little rewards pushing you forward to the next task, some of the behaviors that may have been holding you down before might not seem so attractive anymore, or, give you the same satisfaction that they used to. You'll find when you are in alignment with your greatest good and goals, some of the, noise and chatter that has distracted you in the past will just melt away. So how do we structure our 2023 goals? There are some things that have helped me over the years that I want to share. So first, when working on my New Year goals, I create a space that is just for me. This is a reflective time and a brainstorming time. So carving out plenty of space for me to play around with my thoughts and ideas is important. And I know I'm better at this in the morning, so that is usually when I reserve the time just for me. And I'll create the physical space around me to encourage creativity and make me feel cozy. I'll grab my papers, my pens, my fuzzy blanket. I'll light some candles. Even better, I'll start a fire in the fireplace. I'll put some classical music on or something like Viking or Celtic music. And I curl up and I let my thoughts flow. It's a free-for-all, really. I will write down things no matter how silly they are. Almost like a random vision board, but with words and phrases. I do give myself a timeline to complete the making of my goals. However, for me, they don't have to be done all in one day. Sometimes, an outline is drafted and I will go back and look at it each day and, maybe make little tweaks and changes until I know I have my finished results. After I have my thoughts written down, random as they are, I come up with a theme. And it's this theme that defines my word for the year. And it's this word that will start the actual goals being written out. So when I was younger, I started by writing the actual, numerical year on a piece of paper. But over time, changing that number to be a word defining my theme, that ties all my goals together, has really been one of the best things I've done. It's my why. And defining my goals from it has been super helpful. I can't stress that part enough. Finding and defining your why is so very important to the success of your goals. What is motivating you to have this goal? And what will inspire you to keep taking the action steps needed to obtaining it? Without getting those defined, you'll end up with that list of wishful thinking of, oh, wouldn't it be nice if, and someday I might dreams. So when drafting out your goals, you'll want to pull from what motivates you and what inspires you. And those are two pretty important words, and they really do mean very different things. You'll want to create goals that are in alignment with the greatest version of you that you can think of. This foundation will, give you the power and fuel to keep moving forward, since it won't be in conflict with the core you. Now, what motivates you? This is going to be your reason for doing it. What inspires you? This is going to be what creates your action, your desire to act on the motivation. When you're brainstorming, you'll want to have a good idea of both of these, and then turn that information into your theme, word, or phrase for the year, and then organize your goals into sections. This next step is important. We are basically taking some big ideas and wishes and breaking them down into organized categories. Now, there's a wheel of life that many people use when creating these goal categories. And this wheel usually has 6 sections. I don't know if there's like a set wheel, but usually you'll see 6 sections. First one is spiritual. These, of course, are your beliefs and your personal development. Second one is physical. This is taking care of your physical body. Third is intellectual or personal development. This area is going to be, like your learning, your knowledge, and your mind. Fourth is family and relationships. This is, of course, like romance, friends, and your family. Fifth is going to be social interest and fun. Of course, this is for your hobbies and things that you enjoy. And then 6 is your career and finances. It doesn't necessarily have to be specifically career, but it could be education, savings, and financial security. And of course, can be your job. Once I have my word or phrase, I write it in the center of the paper, and I draw a bubble around it. From that bubble, I draw 6 lines randomly out from it, kind of evenly spacing them around the bubble. And I organize my goals into one of these 6 areas or buckets. Now, you don't have to have this many categories. You can certainly combine some of them or remove some of them altogether. Maybe there's one single goal. Maybe there are 2. This is all about you. So this is your goal worksheet. Make it work for you. So for me, I get my word or phrase. I draw 6 lines out, evenly around the bubble, and I list the 6 categories. I go back and I look over all of my random thoughts, and I organize them into one of the 6 buckets. This is the compartmentalizing stage that really helps break things down. Then I look at everything. I start playing around with what is really important to me and what contributes to the word and theme I am going for. I weed out the silly stuff and some of the fluff, and I just get down to the categories and tighten them up to what motivates me and what inspires me and what is going to bring me to my greatest and highest level. From there, I usually rewrite the draft so it looks a bit more tidy. I again start with my word for the year inside my bubble, and I draw my 6 lines around it with each of the categories listed, and then below the category, my goal or goals within it. My approach then shifts, and I personally start at the end. That's going to sound a little silly, but this really works for me. If I know what the end date is, I can start working backwards from it and create those little baby steps that I need to get me there on time. And really, this final tweak of my goals is what gets the big picture broken down into manageable action steps for me. So let's pull an example so I can walk through it. Let's say my word or phrase for the year is independence. And the bucket category of career, I have that I want to start my line of jewelry as a side business. By having my own business, I will be creating my own individual company, which supports my goal of being independent. And I am motivated and inspired to share my designs and jewelry with people. I will take this goal and decide when I want to launch my store. What is the date going to be? From there, I work backwards and I write down all of the steps I need to complete and when, in order to reach that goal and date. Now, if you're writing some biggies, a 1-year plan may not be appropriate. So I try to organize my goals into things that I know I typically can obtain in the calendar year. These are my current goals. You can always have another set of goals that are geared for maybe 5 or 10-year plans, which are going to be your long-term goals. But for today's purpose, I'm really talking about the calendar year that's coming up. So I take those steps with each of my goals and I break them down into manageable baby steps that are date specific. So my end result, I have my bubble, of course, with my word or phrase. I have areas and buckets with like items grouped together around my bubble. And within those buckets are specific goals written down. Each goal has a completion date, and then below each goal are the things, the baby steps written out of what I need to do and by when to reach my goal. Okay, you either laughing your head off right now and saying, oh my God, that is way too OCD for me, or maybe this approach makes sense to you. It certainly does not need to be that detailed. You can take a more organic approach to your 2023 goals that flow a little bit later and are not so structured. But I can say this works for me, and it is very helpful to keep me on track the whole year. Okay, let's jump into goals for your career and job. Now, certainly they can, and they should be, one of your buckets to think about and hopefully have a goal or two in. But you can also do some standalone work with your corporate or, your work goals. And of course, there will be a bunch of variables as this is such an individual space, just like your personal goals are. You may be an employee working somewhere that does not contribute to you being the best version of you, and your goal is to look for other employment that will support your highest vision. Or maybe you love where you work and there is nothing you really want to change with it, but you would like to bring some different energy into your office or take more of a leadership role on the next project. When brainstorming your work goals, think about things that will advance your career. This might include something outside of the office too, like learning a new skill or getting a degree in your field of study, or something that may not actually take place at your job, but will be for the greater good of the career that you desire. And, just like your personal goals are super important in creating the best version of you, so are your corporate goals. So you have the balance and the best version of you there too. You can use some meditation techniques if you're not sure what direction to take, and, envision yourself in the perfect job. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And then that might give you some direction on creating goals to help you achieve it. So you may have heard of the acronym SMART when people talk about goals. This stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time sensitive. These are all the things we want to consider when listing out our goals. There are a bunch of things you can think about too when working on career goals. I have pulled 8 examples, but again, do you. The first one is going to be maybe improve your time management skills. My third podcast went over how to track time. And if you want to see where all your time goes and be a better manager of your time, track it for a week. You will quickly see what needs improving and what needs tighter management. Second one is to get organized. And I'll tell you, being better at responding to my emails and being organized with them, managing my inbox is going to be on my list. And I won't just write down, I want to be better at it. I will write down the action steps that I will be taking to make myself better and more organized with it. Third could be get certified in your field or get a college degree. Now, we can certainly debate about college degrees nowadays, whether it's an associate's, bachelor's, master's, or doctorate's degree. There are definitely careers that you need an actual degree in still. But there are a lot of areas now that provide certification in your field of study. So it does not always have to be the big, expensive, and time-consuming degree that matters. Really, it's what matters to you and what will bring you in balance with the greatest version of you. Let's see. Okay, fourth would be create a new work habit. Now, this one can be fun because while it obviously is focused on something you'll be doing at work, maybe it really is something that will bring you into balance with one of your personal goals too. Or maybe you're doing something each workday that is not healthy, or something that is too expensive and your goal is, to save money. That morning cup of Starbucks adds up. And if you do it on your drive to work each day, it could be a habit you want to replace with a healthier one. or at least one that's easier on your wallet. Or maybe, in talking about my email issues, my new habit is going to be time blocking and responding to each and every email I get 3 times a day. It will be creating a habit that will make me be a better communicator. So the 5th one is start a business. This is a biggie, and I used it in my example earlier. It may not exactly fall into a short-term goal list, but if you are entrepreneurial at all, you know it. Owning a business is not for everybody, and most people do not seek this out for themselves. But if you are inclined to self-employment, creating a 12 or 24 month goal list of exactly what you need to do and when is exactly what you need to do. Much like a business plan, but this would be your action plan. So 6th, I have corporate mentors and networking. And yeah, I know at the end of a long day, the last thing you want to do is think about rubbing shoulders and, networking. But having a corporate social structure and people you can look up to and model your actions after are great avenues in propelling your career forward. It does not need to be every day, maybe not even every week, but scheduling time to socially network, not just with your peers, but with people you look up to and respect is very rewarding. Okay, let's see. 7th, I have create good work morning routines. Now, someone once said, good work mornings start the night before. Okay, it was me. And it was podcast episode number 2. I am not trying to toot my own horn here, but it really is true. If you want a good morning routine to get you out of the house on time for work, or anything really, plan the night before. It's a great thing to have on your 2023 goal list. So the last one I have and want to quickly talk about, and don't laugh, is balance with work and home. So if you're thinking about your corporate goals and your work ambitions, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle and the rush with the competition. But if I may, offer another version that could easily be used in your work goals bucket. It would be to find balance. And maybe you are in a period of your life where the hustle and bustle and the corporate rush is not for you, nor will it bring you to the greatest version of you that you can be. Maybe really you need to work so that you can play even harder, and that your job is just that, something that you don't necessarily want to climb the ladder with or build on year after year. It's something you can go and do that generates income, that you are happy in, and that you get to walk away from each day when you are done. And that element of letting it completely go at the end of the workday allows you to do the things that you want to do at home and in your personal life. Okay, let's review. And it's a quick review, but I've got goals give you direction, right? A roadmap and a clear reminder of what you want and what you're going to have to do to have them completed by a certain time. Think about what you're willing to do. Sometimes goals, sound good, but we are not willing to work or sacrifice to have them. And maybe they sound good because you think other people value them, but you yourself don't. Those type of hollow goals will end up collecting dust because they do not align with your vision or your greatest good. So for my individual goals, I have a bubble with my word or phrase in it. I have the titles of, roughly those 6 areas or buckets drawn out from the bubble. And again, those can be spiritual, physical, intellectual or personal development, family and relationships, social interest and fun, and then career and finances. So when drafting your goals, you want to pull from what motivates you and what inspires you. What motivates you? This is going to be your reason for doing it. What inspires you? This is going to be what creates your action, your desire to act on the motivation. Compartmentalizing helps. Get those goals organized into categories or buckets and give each goal a completion date. And then below each goal, list out your baby steps of what needs to be done and when it needs to be done by. Rewrite your goals into something that looks neat and organized and post it. Put it somewhere that will continually remind you what you're doing all of this for. That goal word, your theme for 2023. All right, I did spend some time and write a poem for today's episode, so here we go. It's time for goals. It's time to plan. Think ahead and dream all that you can. What are your wishes? What do you want? All those desires known by your confidant. Write them down and think them through. What are the goals that mean something to you? Think of what motivates you to do more. Don't second guess. Just let your heart pour. Let your inspirations come to the page. Free them from doubt. Let them out of the cage. This is all about you and the person you'll be. These goals are your wishes. Now let them free. As you write them down, think them through. Get them organized in sections too. Compartmentalizing helps. I promise it will. I know it's a lot to get over this hill. You've made your plan and you have your goal. This passionate list speaks right to your soul. All of your wishes and all you desire are written out now so you can soar higher. And once you're flying, continue on. Make baby steps to act upon. Those little steps will get you going and put into motion all that's growing. And higher you'll soar with your goals in mind, for goals written down have a date assigned. And baby step goals broken down into actions become your reality with true satisfaction. It's time for goals, it's time to plan. Think ahead and dream all that you can. This is all about you and the person you'll be. These goals are your wishes. Now let them free. Thank you for joining me today. My last episode in 2022. I do have the January podcast schedule posted on my website if you want to check that out. Next week's podcast is all about Thursday being Juniper's Day and all of the fun things that go with it. That is all I have for you this week. I hope you have an amazing New Year's Day and you get to start drafting your 2023 goals like I will be doing. Have a great week, be safe, and I will talk with you next week and next year. Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. If you want to send me a personal note, please email me at info@witchyworkwishes.com. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.